What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Unhinged Live. As usual, you guys know the drill. I'm your host, Pastor Hensey, joined tonight by the man himself, Derek of MYY Recaps. How are we doing, Derek?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
We're having a good time tonight. However, the Yankees game just wrapped up against the Orioles. They lost 2-1. Maybe we should just cancel the season before it started.
I saw Gary Sanchez was 0 for 3, hitting 179 on the spring. Not that it matters. Not the spring stats matter.
But he's in midseason form, though. Like, that's all that matters.
He's 22 points better than, or something like that, 32 points better than last season.
Can we still say he's in the best shape of his life, though?
I think you can only be considered in good shape when you're hitting. Like, nobody wants to see an in-shape guy. Like, think about Gabe Kapler, the manager. Like, when he was playing, he was like a 200 hitter, but he was jacked. He was like the most ripped guy ever, but he just couldn't hit.
No, yeah, same thing as being a manager. Like, not really a good manager, but he was jacked, so like that's all that matters. I guess we could like kind of go through tonight's stats. Nothing really too interesting. The Yankees only had 3 hits, 1 run. Who had a good night? Dietrich went 1 for 2. That's a good sight to see. He's batting 150 this spring. I mean,
I saw Mike King had 6 strikeouts.
He did, yeah. Mike King went 4 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 6 Ks. Pretty solid.
He said his goal was to throw 100 innings this year. I don't want Mike King throwing 100 innings. I mean, something went wrong.
No, yeah, I was going to say, like, something has to have gone wrong for Mike King to pitch 100 innings. But Johnny Loaisiga gave up his first run of the spring.
He's human.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think so. Takeaways from this game. Gary, start Higgy over him. Don't care if he's hurt or not. Second, Loaisiga, DFA. And third, just cancel the entire season because we lost to the Orioles. But that's also probably like a perspective that goes through the heads of some fans.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't read too much into spring. A lot of guys are just out there just trying to get loose, not really even trying. Usually the last few days of spring, you'll see guys start to take real cuts. They'll play a couple of games, typically in a major league stadium. I don't know if they're doing that this year because of COVID or whatever. But typically there'll be like 1 or 2 games right before the season starts. And you'll see guys like legit taking because they want to put one in the upper deck. You know what I mean? Like Frazier last year against the Mets. How awesome was that?
No, I know. And like I think that's why like I've been a firm believer in this all spring that I just can't get into these games because it doesn't matter. Like we're looking at these stats. Now one of the Yankees is batting 300 in the lineup tonight. And also the rotation's doing really good though. So it's really weird because I don't know how to feel about the good stats and the bad stats. It's like, yes, I do want to feel good about the good stats, but then it's like when a guy's batting 150, am I supposed to feel bad about it the same way I'm feeling good about the good stats? Does that make any sort of sense?
No, I mean, really, you really got to throw out all the stats or throw out.
No, I know.
And I just try to throw out all of them and just rely on, how guys look. I like to look at the young guys like the Estevan Florials and the Oswald Perazzas and Luis Medina. We got to look at him, even though he was trash. I basically just like to see what kind of tools they have, you know what I mean? And whether or not I believe in them. And some guys, like when I first saw Alfonso Soriano, I remember it was the spring of maybe 99. And I remember he was playing shortstop at that time. And I was like, this guy is dog shit at shortstop, but he can swing the bat. And sure enough, he got moved off a shortstop and became a great hitter.
You know, it's so funny because like this is so off topic, but it has to do about Alfonso Soriano. Do you remember the game Backyard Baseball?
Hell yeah.
Alfonso Soriano was like my go-to guy. And like it was, I think it was like Backyard Baseball 2007. He was because he was on the Cubs too. And like the Cubs were like my National League team. Loved it.
I got that beat. MVP Baseball 04.
Is that the one with Manny on the cover?
No, that was 05. So that was this was so MVP 04. It had Randy Johnson and Miguel Tejada. Oh wait, that might have been 03, but 04. I forget who 04 had. But in the game, lefties, there was a lefty bug, and lefties could not hit home runs at all. But I mashed so much with Alfonso Soriano. He was the leadoff, and I played every single game. Like I would play every single game of my season. And he hit 89 home runs for me. And like I'd say like 87 of them were leadoff because like the first pitch of the game was always a fastball down the middle. It was just like a bug in the game. So I would just load up.
Was he still in the Yankees at that point?
Yeah, that was it was the year before it must have been 03. It was the year before he got traded for A-Rod.
Gotcha.
So it might have been the one with, I was probably right. It was the one with Randy Johnson and Miguel Tejada on the cover.
I have a funny story about this guy. YT iBox U. So he came into my chat a couple days ago, right? He's like, yo, I'm a Giants fan. The Yankees suck. I'm like, yo, what are we doing? Like, first of all, how'd you even find the channel? I appreciate you, though. Now I kind of have him converted to a Yankees fan.
Nice.
Very slowly but surely. Yeah. I mean, I still think he hates the Yankees, but like he likes us. So that's all that matters.
It works. That works.
Moises has a hot take. SpongeBob should have ended after the first movie.
You know, I've never seen an episode of SpongeBob.
Never.
No,
not even an episode.
I remember, like, I had a roommate who was really into it, but I never watched it. I could never sit down. It's probably one of those things. I heard it's pretty good. You know,
as a kid, like that was my show.
I'm a Family Guy guy and a Simpsons guy. Like those are my two. Like the Simpsons from the early 90s was when I was super into cartoons.
Yeah, but like, okay, like when Family Guy and The Simpsons were like popping, I was young. So like I was like kind of scared to like dig down that hole. Because I remember like I must have been so young one night and I flipped through the channels and I found Family Guy. And there was just like the vulgarity for an 8-year-old to experience, you know? I was like, damn, I don't know if I want to go back down that hole again.
Seth MacFarlane's a genius, though. He's awesome. He does the Ted movies. I don't know if you've seen those with the fucking bear.
I love those movies.
Hilarious.
Yes. Good, no, solid movies. Just because like Mark Wahlberg is awesome too. So it's like you can't go wrong.
Oh, funny story about them. Those two, weird story. They were supposed to be on the same plane on September 11th. And I think Mark Wahlberg was late because he went to like an audition or something like that. And Seth MacFarlane got too drunk the night before and overslept. And then their plane hit the goddamn World Trade Center.
Wait, Seth MacFarlane and Mark Wahlberg were both supposed to be on that plane.
Supposed to be on that plane, and they missed the plane, and it hit the World Trade Center.
It's so crazy. Like so many people have so many wild stories from that day. How like they were supposed to be in the city at that time, or like they were supposed to be on the plane. It's wild. Life works in crazy ways. Speaking of life working in crazy ways, you know Borg from your chat.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Borg.
Cool. So he came into my
coined
chat
that
the other
nickname,
day.
by the way.
Did you? I call him Brog.
I call him Borg because like his username is just a bunch of numbers. And so when I was doing like a response video to one of his questions, I said, what are you, a effing Borg? And I put a Borg on the screen. And so now he's known as Borg. And that's what I love about doing this, man, this community. Like we get to know these people. They get to know us. Like how many YouTubers get a chance to just like become basically on a first name nickname basis with people who come on? I love it. Here's to you, Borg. Here's to you.
Cheers to you, Brog. I call him Brog just because like one time I messed it up. I was like, is it Brog or Borg? So now it's just Brog. But the last Thursdayism, he came into the chat. He's like, have you ever heard the theory that the world was created last Thursday and everything since then is a memory? He's like, you have to tell Derek about this because he would eat it up. Have you ever heard of this?
I've heard of this.
Of course you have.
So there, you know, there's another theory that like basically the world reforms around you every time you sleep. So like when you sleep, everything that has happened, like when you wake up, that's not really what happened. Like everything that you remember just like is fresh that day. It's all programmed in. There's all sorts of, some people think that the, space is fake and stuff. There's all sorts of weird stuff out there. I don't personally buy into last Thursdayism, but I've got some weird stuff, and we can get into that when I finish my vodka.
I didn't know that was a thing, but apparently it is. So let's get back on Yankees topics a little bit quick, and then we could fetch off into other conspiracy theories. Herman or Garcia? I mean, Domingo Herman's having a ridiculous spring. Devy's doing decent. I mean, listen, I like Devy going into spring. I thought Devy was kind of a lock for the 5th spot. However, I think the Yankees are going to go with Herman. I think they are too. But I also think that there's an outside chance they could use a 6-man rotation. Yes.
Because if you think about it, you got beyond Garrett Cole. Look, I'm not a mathematician, but there's got to be a way to keep Garrett Cole on a 5-man rotation and keep everyone else on a 6-man rotation, right? So you give Corey Kluber and Jameson Taillon an extra day coming back off a couple years. Domingo Herman coming back off a couple years. Maybe that allows him to last through the season without being worn out, And then you got Mike King in here who's pitching well. He said he wants to throw 100 innings. You can maybe slot him in once in a while. I like the idea of a 6-man rotation, at least until like May 15th. Go 6 weeks, give everybody like 4 or 5 starts, and then see where everybody's at. If somebody's got a 7 ERA, then obviously, but if you got 6 guys with like a sub 4 ERA, I say stick with it. Don't break it. Don't fix it if it's not broken.
Yeah, I mean, call me crazy, but like I would rock with a 6-man rotation until Sevy comes back.
Yeah. And if Severino comes back and you're still rocking a 6-man rotation that's somehow doing good, what do you do with Sevy? You can't
throw him in the pen, I guess.
I think so too. I think that might be a way to give yourself an extra deadly weapon for the postseason. I also think Herman, if the Yankees want to experiment with him out there, he would be a dynamite reliever. The problem is, look, I saw Pedro pitch, and Davey gets compared to Pedro. Davey's no Pedro, but this spring, Herman looks legitimately like Pedro with that changeup. He looks absolutely unbelievable.
I mean, as much as like we don't like the guy personally, it's like you can't really root against him on the field because he's pitching for the Yankees. You know what I mean? And when you see him doing so well, like there's no way it could hurt the team. So I don't know.
L.I. Yankee King says, I hate the Yankee fans who are doubting my boy, Michael King. Here's the deal, man. I want Michael King to succeed. And I kind of went off on him the other day, but his ball doesn't move enough for a sinker baller, right? If you watch Zach Britton pitch, you see it almost looks like he's throwing a curveball almost sometimes with the way his sinker moves. If you're going to be a sinker baller and throw it every time, you've got to be damn sure that guys can't make an adjustment and just put a little bit of a golf swing on it and hit it. You've got to throw a bowling ball up there. And to me, Michael King just does not have that kind of movement. I like that he's throwing a little bit harder, but look, if we're fans, we can't also be fanboys. We have to be realistic. The guy hits too many bats. His ERA was over 7 last year for a reason. And even tonight against the Orioles, I mean, he got 6 strikeouts, but I think he gave up 4 hits, couple runs. I mean, you got to hit less bats, and that's just what it is. So I'm sorry that this guy hates fans like me, but I'm just trying to keep it real.
Oh yeah, I think it's fair to stay like realistic as far as the season goes. Like even when we made our predictions on our live stream on Wednesday, like I try to keep everything like as realistic as possible. Like especially like you don't want to get yourself like too hyped up, but you also don't want to like devalue these guys too much. And I think the way like we view Michael King is at the perfect level. Like he's not a superstar, but he's not like the worst pitcher in the game either.
I honestly think he's going in the wrong direction with his velocity. I think he needs to take some velocity off, right? He doesn't need to throw 98. Go to the bullpen and throw the sinker, but throw it at 87. Give guys just a little bit of a different look. That way, when they do hit it, maybe it doesn't have the same kind of exit velocity because it's not going that extra 5 miles an hour. Maybe by taking a little bit off, you can get a little bit more movement. I don't know.
Yeah. Daniel says, did you guys play Slugfest? I did play MLB Slugfest. That game's a classic.
So I played it, but I only played it like at a friend's house. I didn't own that game. I more played the simulation games. I was into like triple play and then MVP and then basically MLB The Show. But before that, it was just like MLB. It was like MLB 99.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, I like even though like I was born in 2000, so like all those old games are like not really in my peak, but like I want to say when I was like 7, 8, 9, I would go to GameStop with my mom, right? And they had like all these PS2 games. They would be like 99 cents, 99 cents, $1.99. I literally bought every single old MLB game. And as a kid, I would literally just sit back and play like MLB 2002 and just have the time of my life. But I feel like kids nowadays don't do that. Like I can't picture a kid now going back and playing like MLB 10 the show. Like, you know what I mean?
No, it really doesn't work that way anymore. But I still go back sometimes. I have a Nintendo and I go back and play RBI baseball from like the 1980s. That's better than the RBI baseball they have
Oh
now. It's
yeah.
complete dog shit.
I would never touch it.
God,
I
it's
would
awful.
never go near it.
I was thinking about buying it the other day. I was like, got a month till MLB the show comes out. I'm like, I need a game to play. I got no games to play right now. I just finished my Madden franchise. And I was like, all right, I need something. And so I looked up RBI baseball and I was like, it's only $30. So I go and watch some gameplay videos. And I almost threw up in my mouth with how bad it looks.
It looks like a game on your phone.
Like, seriously.
Except it's $30 instead of free.
Right. Awful.
With some ads.
Seriously. Put some fucking Dr. Pepper ads in there and make that shit free and I'll play it.
It's so true. I would even shout them out on live.
Daniel Calderon says MLB 2K10 was a great game. So put him up. Yeah. So the MLB 2K series didn't get a lot of love. In 2K7, like 2K, like I'd say 2K5, 2K6, it was really bad. But then they brought in Ben Brinkman, who was the developer of MVP 05. They brought him into 2K Sports, and he turned MLB 2K7. It had Jeter on the cover. Hang on, I've got it right here. Hang on.
Do you actually?
Yeah, this is MLB.
There it is. Yeah.
MLB 2K7. Look at these graphics.
Beautiful cover too.
And it was like the first HD graphic, and they had everybody's like Ichiro's batting stance and all that. And I just played this game to death, but it didn't have any of like the minor league systems or anything like that. So that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
And then 2K8, I'm really amped for it because you're thinking the next year it's going to be better, but they tried to do too much. They like introduced all these new like mechanics, analog stuff, and they added way too much, and the game just was kind of broken, and they never fixed it. And then 2K9, 2K10 were okay, but by then the show had taken over, and it was over for 2K. They missed their chance.
Yeah, I mean, what I always said as far as like MLB games went, MLB The Show always had better graphics, but I always liked the gameplay of the 2K games better. I always thought it was like more fluid, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I like the player animations, like the pitching and batting stances. They always seem motion captured really well. But I'll tell you what, Stadium Creator, if I can get my hand on a PS5, I'm gonna have a blast with that.
Here's my thing. It's like I'm looking forward to the new MLB The Show game, right? Yeah. But it's only like because I have a PS4 right now. I don't have a PS5. I don't plan on buying a PS5 because I don't play video games like that. So like, why am I going to waste $500 on something that I'm only going to be playing MLB The Show on? So also, I just built this PC that cost me like $1,000. So like, I'm like, but I want to get it for the PS4, but I'm going to miss out on like Stadium Creator and like all like the new other features in the PS5. So that's why I'm like having a debate in my head right now. I'm like, do I still get it for PS4? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, if I can't get a PS5 in time, I'm just not going to get it this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to be one of those guys. I would take the day off of work when the new video games would come out to play them. I would actually like take the day off and then play it all day and then all night. My buddy Justin, who actually did a podcast with today about Justice League, he took a picture of me one day after like a 24-hour MLB 2K7 gaming session. Like my eyes were like hanging out of I looked like Krusty the Clown after Bart forced him to perform for like 600 days straight or something. Oh, it was gross.
Damn. And shout out to Yo Elvis with a $2 super chat. Guys, Sanchez is back. Haha. He's in mid-season form, Yo Elvis. I mean, listen, but like my thing is I've said this all off season. I have high expectations for Gary going into 2021. Despite like everyone knocking on him the entire offseason, all season last year, he struggled last year mightily. Like there's no denying that. But I just can't see him getting any worse. That's the way I'm viewing it.
No, last year was rock bottom. There's only one place left for him, and that's the bench. I remember it was several years ago. Somebody was batting ninth, and he complained to the manager, and the manager was like, "There's only one. That's the last stop. Next stop is the bench. Got to turn it around."
Yeah.
I like Gary as a human being, and I think he's going to do better this year. But I honestly just don't think that. I don't see a monster year from him. He could hit 220, 230 with 30 home runs. I think it's realistic. Just don't, expect huge improvements from him at catcher. How often do catchers get better in their late 20s?
I mean, we just need him to be average. Like,
Right.
all I'm asking for is an above 200 average with 30 home runs. I would be so satisfied with that. It's not even funny.
Yeah, he's gonna hit 201, and you're gonna rip him for all winter.
If he has 30 bombs, though, I'll be happy. Listen, there's just no way the dude can bat under 200 again and still be like the Yankees catcher going into next season. There's just no way.
No, if he's hitting 187 in June, he's going to be playing for the Phillies or something, not maybe somewhere, maybe not the Phillies, but like they'll deal him and they'll get something for him, and Higashioka will be their starting catcher.
No, he'll be shipped off to like Seattle or something and just become an absolute unit. He'll be like an all-star next year, MVP.
What'll happen is he'll go somewhere and he'll stink and he'll become a free agent. The Red Sox will sign him and he'll hit 65 home runs in Boston.
Don't say that, Derek.
It's exactly what'll happen.
I'd be sick to my stomach, and because also he would grow out his facial hair.
Yeah,
he would have his earrings in. He'd be a lot more confident.
Poppy.
No, yeah.
God, I'm gonna have nightmares.
He'd be the king of Boston, and I see it. I could visualize it so well because he would look so good in a Red Sox uniform.
He would.
God, whatever. Buy the Xbox Series S and play it on there. See, the thing is, I don't want to like waste all that money on a new console. So regardless if it's a PS5 or an Xbox, but
yeah.
Also, I think that's why I was so into like the 2K games when I was younger, because like at first, I had an Xbox 360 and a PS3, but I liked my Xbox better. So like they didn't have the show on there, so I would just go for the 2K games.
Yeah, I think I had both too. But I always preferred like once the show started getting good, like 07, 08, it just ran so much smoother and so much faster.
Oh yeah.
You could play like the road to the show. That was just so much more fun to me.
Yeah. Also, like I liked it because it had like the storylines and everything.
Yeah.
Like, The 2K player mode was just like basic and bland.
And I remember back in the old days with the show, they had like these fake newspaper headlines that would show,
yes,
like if you broke a home run record or something. It was dope.
Yeah. Lori says, I have no confidence in Gary. He will K 39% of the time.
That's a
very exact number. That's a very exact number.
Did you know 37 is the most commonly selected random number?
Is it actually?
It is. That's a fun fact.
I know, like if you say so, like 1 through 10, the odds are it's always going to be 7.
Yeah, something about like saying the word 7. It's easy for people, and it so it
flows off the tongue well.
Like 37 rolls off the tongue. So that's the most commonly selected random number.
You know what doesn't roll off the tongue well? 2021. I have this problem all the time because like if I'm saying like, oh, it's 2021, I'm thinking I'm saying 2020. So after I go 2020, I get confused. I'm like 1.
Yeah, it's just you're adding an extra, so it's more work.
No, yeah. 2020 just flowed so well. And we were always saying it. We're like, oh, 2020 is such a weird year. Like, you know what I mean?
I bet this shit happens every century.
Probably.
And it's so hard to say 1920.
But either like we're going to have this problem for a while because then it's 2022. Actually, 2022 kind of sounds a little bit better than 2020.
Yeah.
If that's just my mind playing games, I don't know.
I'm just going to call it deuces. It's deuces. It's 20 deuces.
Let's see. Where is D-Rob going? Benji asked. I kind of forgot he was still a free agent. We haven't heard anything about D-Rob.
I heard from a buddy of mine who knows a scout, and I can't like say that there's any
inside info here.
It's just like a word of mouth thing that he didn't have anything at his showcase, that he was
really
throwing upper 80s, curveball was rolling in there. That's why.
Because the reports came out that he looked very good. Yeah. And my assumption was like, if he looked very good, then it's one of two things. 1, it's a lie. 2, he did look good, but now he's asking for more money and no one's going to pay him that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're getting to the point in spring training where you would think that if he looked good, somebody would take it because he got 2 weeks to get ready for the season.
No, yeah.
So if he had anything, he's going to sign in the next day or two, or he's not going to sign. Speaking
of that, why does Yasiel Puig still not have a team 2 years later?
I don't know.
Get it. He's not that big of a problem in the clubhouse,
He's
unless there's
really
something
not.
we don't know about.
I don't know. I mean, the guy is he's like a wild stallion, man. I mean, he's fun to watch and look at, but you can't really corral him. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
Uh, I personally I love watching him play. I remember when the Yankees were linked to him this winter. I remember just thinking it was just a dumb move because they're redundant. But somebody should definitely take a flyer on him. Problem is, all the people that would need him, like the contenders, pretty much everybody's got outfield locked up. I'll tell you where he should go is Anaheim. Go out there and DH when Ohtani is on the mound or whatever, and then play the outfield a couple days a week. Give them an extra bat. Nice sunny weather, West Coast.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I would like him on the Yankees, but it's never gonna happen. Like, there's no shot. I know they were linked to him, but I don't know.
Pistol Pete says he has. He basically got Me Too'd. I don't know.
Yeah, I see that. I didn't hear that.
I didn't hear that either.
I don't know. KG Baseball says, would you guys be happy if Aaron Hicks goes 0 for 2 with 2 walks every game, but at the end of the season he has 30 hits, which are all homers? I'm asking because Talking Yanks said they would be happy. Yeah, I would probably be happy.
Well, that would be a 500 on base percentage.
Wait, but also if he goes 0 for 2 with 2 walks every game, then where are all the hits coming from?
Well, he would be 30 for like 100, and let's say that would be 30 for 300. So he would hit 100.
So he wouldn't be going 0 for 2 every game. He'd go like 2 for 2.
Yeah. Well, no. So if you get 30 hits all season, I told you guys before I don't math, but
I don't math either.
So you're getting, let's just say 500 plate appearances, just to make it easy. 250 walks, and then he goes 30 for 250. What is that? What's 30 for 250? I don't know what that average is. Alexa, what's 30 divided by 250? 30 divided by 250 is 0.12. That would be a 0.1. That would be a 120 batting average. So
that's still solid.
120 batting average, 500 on base percentage. I'm sure somebody could figure out the slugging, but that would be like a 700 OPS. That would be amazing.
Listen. If every hit was a home run, I'll do it.
I'll take it. 30 home runs and 2 walks a game. I'll take it.
Also, because he would be on base so much to like score runs.
Yeah,
the good stuff.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Lori says Puig will be golfing with Cespedes.
Where is Cespedes these days? What's he doing?
Apparently, he had a showcase too that the Yankees were at.
What's with all these Cuban guys that are just like floating around there?
James Scott says Puig's new agent Rachel Luba says he had an undiagnosed ADHD case and now he's on medication. Would that prevent him from
you can play baseball and have ADHD?
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean,
is that what you say? ADHD?
Yeah.
I don't know these acronyms.
Are the Yankees' best players even trying like Judge and LeMahieu? Like, I would say they're trying, but they're not giving it 1,000%. You know what I mean?
It's not even about like giving half-ass or whatever. In spring training, you're working on stuff. Like, you remember when Judge earlier this year, it looked like he had changed his stance a little bit.
Yes.
They're trying new timing mechanisms. They're going up there and they're looking for certain pitches. They're thinking, okay, pretend there's a guy on third and 2 outs. My objective here is to hit the ball to the right side. Even though there might be nobody out, he might consider success a ground ball to the right side through the right field hole or something. Or pretend there's a guy like, a lot of times the coach will shout out, hey, guy on third, 1 out, try and hit something in the air, sack fly. And so he just goes up there trying to hit a sack fly. That's what spring training is about. It's about adjusting to game situations. At this point, it's not even really about timing or any of that stuff. His timing will round into form over the next, week or so. And then once you get to the season and there's, real stakes, like it's on the, everything's on the line, then the adrenaline kicks in. And that's when you're going to see these real guys rise to the occasion. Somebody said something about Stanton. Would you rather have Stanton and Harper, or would you rather have Stanton or have signed Harper? That's a good question for you, Patrick. What do you want?
I mean, I think you might know my answer to this. I love Giancarlo Stanton. I think Bryce Harper would have been a better fit for the Yankees.
I would have signed Harper.
Yeah, I would have signed Harper. Listen, that's not knocking Stanton at all. It's just I've said this numerous times. I think that offseason, the Yankees would have been much better off trading for Cole instead of Stanton and then waiting the next year and signing Harper.
That's what I would have done too. That's the exact way I would have gone.
They didn't need another big bat. They just didn't. They needed pitching.
Yeah, if I was running the team, Bryce Harper would probably be the left fielder right now, or he would be the right fielder, and Judge would be the left fielder because Judge probably a better outfielder. That's a bigger outfield. But I mean, his floor in Yankee Stadium is 45 home runs. He's on the field. He plays hard. I like those guys with swagger, that cockiness. I've always liked that.
I know, and I think that was the original plan, to be honest with you. I think their plan was to go full-fledged after Harper, because that's what we heard for so many years. And then I think Stanton kind of just fell into their lap, and they're like, look, we could get this guy who's still going to mash, and he's probably going to be a little bit cheaper, because looking at the contract that Harper got, I can't see the Yankees giving that to him. So I don't know. I think that they just decide Stanton's in front of us now, so let's take advantage of it.
And I still think Stanton's going to have a big year, but if he doesn't hit 59 home runs that year, if he has his normal year of 30-something home runs, I don't think he ends up a Yankee. But when you see a guy, he changed his swing path. That was right around the time where JD Martinez changed his swing path too and became like God tier hitting. Stanton did the same thing, and he became just like legendary overnight. And so everybody's envisioning a healthy Giancarlo Stanton hitting behind Aaron Judge. You got hitting 50. You're thinking 100+ home runs out of two guys in the lineup. But to me, A-Rod had a really good point after that trade. Everybody was talking on Baseball Tonight and MLB Network. This is the greatest trade of all time. This is the greatest trade since you, A-Rod. And A-Rod said, I don't know about that. A-Rod said, he seems like the same player as Judge to me, right? Because if you're a pitcher, and I know this just from me pitching, if I'm facing two guys in a row that are exactly the same, that allows me to get into a little bit of a groove throwing the same pitch 3, 4, or 5 times. And that can actually help me out further down, keep me in that groove. Whereas if I'm facing Judge, this big right-hander, and then I'm facing Harper, this big deadly left-hander who kind of squats down, where am I going to get in a rhythm of throwing the baseball? I've got to be pinpoint for two guys in a row, or I'm going to get crushed.
No, I know.
I was just a Harper guy.
That's the thing. It's like I always liked Harper, and it's the same thing. It's like seeing Judge and Stanton back-to-back in the lineup, which is what the Yankees' original plan was. It's just like a copy and a paste. Like it's just there's no versatility. I think Harper would have been a great versatility. The past is the past. We're not the GM, so there's nothing you can do now.
I read a good book about Bryce Harper called The Phenom. Read that book if you want to, and look at his college stats. He was 16 years old playing in junior college, wood bats. He had something like 30 home runs in 60 games. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
And a lot of people hate Bryce Harper. Like, honestly, if you're good, people are going to hate you. It's just annoying, especially when you have an out there personality. Yeah,
people don't like people who are openly confident and then can also back it up. Yeah, because they see that as cocky. They see that as, too, I don't know, stuck up or whatever. But the guy just plays hard, and if you ever listen to him give like an actual like long form discussion, he's a really humble and nice guy.
Oh yeah,
he doesn't like get in trouble off the field or anything like. He's just a really good guy.
Also, I mean, Moises' comment: Harper without facial hair is not something I want to see. The Yankees would have had to make an excuse for Bryce Harper. Like, if this dude wants to keep one of the greatest beards I've ever seen of all time, you let him keep that beard. I'm sorry.
I don't know if it's there is a religious exemption, and I know he's got like some kind of religious thing. I don't know if I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's Mormon or something. I don't know what it is, but I don't know if that has anything to do with beards, but he could have claimed, hey, part of my thing.
Wow, that's interesting. That's very interesting. I didn't know the Yankees. I mean, I would assume they would have like a religious exemption, but we haven't really seen it put into effect yet. So I guess that's why I never thought of it. If the Astros never cheated, do you think they would have traded for Verlander? That's a good question because you don't know like what position they would be in. We don't even know where in contention they would be in at that trade deadline.
That was I always found that suspicious that they traded for Verlander and then all of a sudden he gets 100% better like overnight.
But also, I mean, I was looking into this a couple weeks ago because I was kind of interested. And I think we were kind of discrediting Verlander before that. His stats before going to Houston weren't that bad. Like, he wasn't like typical old Verlander, but he wasn't like the atrocious pitcher that everyone was making him out to be. I think in 2016, he finished like second in Cy Young voting or something. So he was still good.
it's also tough to pitch when the games don't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if your defense is bad, you're not scoring any runs. Like it's tough to go out there every time and just like dominate, right? It's easy to mail it in, especially when you're getting paid $20 million or whatever it is. It's like, you know what? I'm going to come throw my 6 innings, 3 runs, get my 4.5 ERA, and go home to Kate Upton. Like that, I feel like that was his approach for those last few months in Detroit.
Yeah, it's another one of those what ifs. Like, what if the Yankees traded for Verlander then?
Right. Yeah. I don't even want to talk about it. That hurts me so much when I think about Verlander and what he's done to the Yankees over the years.
It hurts because, I mean, we could have prevented Houston from just dominating us for years. Because we had Cole and Verlander in our sights. A great opportunity to get both of them.
So I booked a cruise for the week of the ALCS 2017. And leading up to it, all I could think of was the Yankees weren't supposed to get there. They weren't supposed to get there. And when it was looking like they were going to be in the ALCS and I was going to be on a cruise, I was like worried I wasn't going to be able to watch the games. I ended up having to buy the internet on my laptop for like $40 an hour or something ridiculous to stream live video and watch the whole series. And my wife is like very disappointed in me because we're on a cruise in the Caribbean.
She should understand.
I'm reserving 4 hours a night to watch baseball on a laptop.
I would do the same exact thing. Tony Stark's nephew says, Derek, you're a guy who has watched baseball for years. How do you feel about Boone placing Hicks in the 3-hole in the lineup?
So if you've seen my lineup video, I actually called that would happen. I would put Hicks at number 3 also, and here's why. The number 3 spot in the order comes up a lot, and a lot more than any other spot in the order with two outs and nobody on. So what you want is somebody who can get on base so that your number 4 hitter doesn't lead off the second inning with nobody on base more often than not. So it's a really good move because he can extend that first inning and give Stanton or Voit, whomever you choose to go with, maybe 20 or 30, 50 more at bats than the average hitter by having Hicks in that spot who can draw walks, giving him 50 more at bats with somebody on base in the first inning. And he's going to hit 2 or 3 home runs in that time.
Yeah.
That could win you 2 games. That could win you 2 or 3 games. So it really does add up. Like a division can be won or lost this year by 2 games.
Yep.
So I would put Aaron Hicks in the number 3 slot. I know traditionally it's a batting average spot, and that's where Tony Gwynn hit. That's where Babe Ruth hit. It's a batting average spot traditionally, but the book says put your highest OBP guy there.
Yeah, I like him in the 3-hole. I've been a fan of it. We got THG in the chat. Whatever you want to call him, you want to call him Johnny THG. Legend.
Johnny
Absolute
THG.
Let's see. What do we got? Harper would have had to cut his hair too. That's true.
Yeah. I kind of like the locks on Harper, man.
I do. Looks very good. No matter what style, this is turning into a Harper love fest, but no matter what style he goes, he could either have like the flow on top, the flow all over. Dude just has like an awesome like hair genetic as far as like facial hair, hair on his head. Shout out Bryce Harper.
So somebody said just said Johnny Lasagna in the chat. I've been getting a lot of complaints on my channel because every time I say Jonathan Loaizaga, I follow it up with Johnny Lasagna, and that makes people cringe. It's just like if people get ticked off. And so this guy told me, he said, you better hang some respect on Johnny Loaizaga's name. And so I spent the next 3 hours, like I made a video, like I had to pull it, like I didn't put it up, but I came this close. But I made like a response video and maybe at the end of the season or like on a slow day, I'll post it, where I showed the guy's comment and I said, hang some respect. And I like started this apology and I said, just kidding. And then I broke out into like this musical number that I cut of like this huge crowd singing an old timey Johnny Lasagna, Johnny Lasagna. Like I made this whole like,
you're going to have to send me that.
I spent like 8 hours developing this thing. And it was like, I would have taken this guy's life, but I just decided it was a little too out there. So it wasn't on brand.
Moving on from that, if we could. Benji says Yankees should sign Shane Green and Tyler Flowers. Shane Green's another guy I kind of forgot was a free agent at this point.
I think they already have Shane Green, and I think Michael King is basically Shane Green. I mean, they're saying he's a hard sinker type of guy. Shane Green has a good slider. You don't see that from Michael King, but I think Shane Green's had some issues, and that's why he's not signed. He's had some injury issues or something like that.
Yeah.
And I gotta honestly tell you, I don't know anything about Tyler Flowers. I haven't heard much about him.
I think he has pop.
Yeah, I
As
don't know
far
much
as
about
I'm concerned. Brian Barrett says, "Who will be better this year, Angels or Royals? What do you boys think? Both good lineups." I don't even know if you want to ask me this question. It's more of just like a statement for me. It's obviously the Kansas City Royals. Give me some unhinged KCs in the chat.
Yeah.
We know the Royals are going to be dominant this year, like absolutely dominant. Now, I know I say this in like a joking way, but I could legitimately see the Royals take like a second wild card spot, possibly. There's a chance if they get like maybe one or two more pitchers.
It's your show, so I'm gonna be respectful of you. And just
have you seen their lineup?
I'm just gonna take the Angels on this one. Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. I'm gonna take
Andrew Benintendi and Sal Perez and Jorge Soler. Unhinged KC.
Yeah,
you could be LA recaps.
I've been thinking about branching out. Like, if I get to a certain point where I can survive on the channel, like, and just have it be my whatever, I might sell the recipe of like how I build all my stuff and just like open up franchises for all these. Like,
I was just gonna say that, yeah.
Like, just have like different people doing different cities. I think that would be fun.
Unhinged KC recaps might work hand in hand. We'll see. Is it time to talk about conspiracies? No, Borg, if you got a conspiracy you want us to talk about, let me know. I'm the conspiracy guy. You know what my biggest conspiracy is?
What's that?
Tyler Wade and Jacoby Ellsbury are actually just the same person.
They're definitely on the same like genetic wavelength, man. They look very similar, but Tyler Wade at least suits up. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Jacoby's still recovering from a hangnail in 2016.
But also, at least like when Jacoby did suit up, he was decent.
He wasn't bad. He would lead the league in freaking catcher's interference call somehow. I think he's got the major league record for catcher's interference in one season.
I think he does, yeah.
He might have an all-time record too.
Pat, your boy Trout is hungry this year. I didn't know he was my boy. But if me and Mike Trout are boys, I'm not going to complain about that.
Do you ever watch? Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, do you ever watch the MLB Network things? They did a really good episode on him.
The Millville to MVP. Yes, I saw a couple years old, right?
Yeah, a couple years ago, but it was really good.
No, I know. Like, I think that I was just going to say, like, I think the way MLB has handled Mike Trout is one of the most crushing things of like our generation, in the sense of this guy is one of the best players in baseball history. And I know I mention this all the time, but I find it so crazy. I did this project for one of my classes last semester, and it was like a sports marketing kind of thing. And like upon research, Mike Trout is just as known among the American population as Kenneth Faried is. You know, the basketball player, former basketball player, which is crazy to think about, because Kenneth Faried is just like the definition of a mediocre NBA player, and Mike Trout's one of the greatest of our generation, and people don't know who he is. It makes me so upset.
Yeah, just go back and watch like some of the commercials that were done for Bo Jackson in like the 80s. Like Bo knows everything. Yeah, players used to be marketed much better. But
even Griffey.
I don't think Trout wants to be that guy though. He's such a humble, quiet guy. Like, everybody's personality doesn't fit in that way, and that's kind of why I wish Harper had been the better of the two. Like in the beginning, remember there was this debate, Harper and Trout. And I was pulling for Harper to be that like next big legendary guy. It ended up being Trout. Harper's pretty good, but I think Harper would have been a better face of baseball just because he's out there and on TV and stuff,
I know, and it kind of sucks because I feel like once Harper went to Philly, it kind of all went downhill for him. Now, I don't want to say it's like a Conor McGregor effect, where it's like as they get older, it's like their fire just kind of like diminishes a little bit. They're not the same guy, because I feel like once Harper signed the contract, we just didn't see that same sort of like aggression and just like, I don't want to say like passion, because the passion's there, but it seems like it's a different Bryce Harper. If you see where I'm going at here, he doesn't seem like the same like cocky guy that everyone always painted him out to be. But kind of like, I compare it to like an A-Rod Jeter situation, like the Harper.
Really sad in this camera, man.
I don't think anyone else thinks that.
I was sitting there and you're talking, and I'm like, man, my belly looks big. Like, I look fucking gross. Uh,
I thought you
this,
looked perfectly skinny.
this had 4 shots of vanilla vodka in it when we started, and now it's just remnants. So that's why this is going off the rails and quick.
That's fine, Derek. All right, let's ask you one more question. Would you rather have traded Chapman and that year when the Cubs won the World Series and got Torres, or kept Chapman so the Cubs didn't win the World Series? A little bit of a hostile question.
I was actually in Chicago when the Cubs won the World Series. It was pretty cool. I think they went on the road, but there was fireworks and stuff going off all around the city. I was there for a work meeting, and I was up in the 4th or 5th floor of my hotel room, and I could kind of look out on the city, and there was fireworks. But yeah, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with that deal. The Yankees got Chapman back, and hey, look, Yankees can't win it every year. I don't think they would have won it that year anyway. So hey, let the Cubs fans have some fun. So I love Torres.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know why people would be upset about the Cubs winning the World Series. I think the Chapman being traded to the Cubs that year is the definition of a win-win trade.
Yeah.
The Cubs won the World Series out of it. The Yankees got Torres and then re-signed Chapman. You can't go wrong with it at all.
Yeah, that was one of the best trades Cashman's ever made. I mean,
no, yeah.
He had a good deadline. He got Frazier that deadline for Andrew Miller.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at that trade deadline, it's ridiculous because relievers don't go for that anymore.
Right.
He got a king's ransom for Miller and Chapman, and then even Beltran they got solid prospects for too.
Dylan Tate looks good with Baltimore, by the way. But look at the 2 guys that he traded away. They ended up pitching against each other in the World Series. Both of those teams were 1 relief pitcher away, and the Yankees just happened to have 2 relief pitchers, and that's why they got a king's ransom for it.
Yep. Yankees Universe, are you going on Twitch? You know what, Yankees Universe, just for you, I will go on Twitch. I'll go live on Twitch after this. But yeah, I guess that's gonna wrap things up for us tonight. I will go live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Unhinged New York. If you guys don't already subscribe to Derek, subscribe to him. NYY Recaps produces the best Yankees content on YouTube. Yes, even better than mine, I'll admit. The content is just beautiful. It's better than Yes Network. That's the only way I could describe it.
Stop.
But yeah, you guys know the drill. We go live every night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. See you guys live tomorrow night. Record videos every day at 12 p.m. Eastern time. I'll see you guys live on Twitch in about 5 minutes.
Borg, shout out to Borg. I'll tell my stories at some point. We got to talk conspiracies.
Yeah, honestly, we should start a conspiracy theory podcast.
Dude, that would be hilarious, and it would be amazing.
No, I know. We'll see. Maybe if the fans want it. Yeah, we'll see you guys next time. See some of you on Twitch in about 5 minutes. Have a good night. Peace.
Later.